Hello, my name is Lumiel, and this is the Bloodborne Lorethrough, where we play through Bloodborne and uncover the lore in real time as it's presented in the game through dialogue, notes, cutscenes, and environmental storytelling. So, in the previous episodes, we've been through all of Old Yarnum. We took on the Bloodstarved Beast, and we explored the first Sumeru Chalice dungeon. The game has been driving us towards the Cathedral ward, which will be through here. But when we returned from Old Yarnum, we discovered that these doors that were previously shut are now open. So we will explore there and find out what is in this direction. So the elevator is already down, so this device doesn't do anything. And we just step on that to activate the elevator. And it takes us up, but I want to go down again, and you'll notice that we just went past. So as we're going up, let's just walk against this wall, and there, we stepped out into this hidden area. That leads kind of along the rooftops and has a drop down there. And there's a treasure chest inside. And what this is the upper area of the Oedon Chapel. So down there is the lamp that we come in to Oedon Chapel. There's an item over here. Messenger Urn Festival. So this is another cosmetic messenger item that I don't use. So it's a key item. An accessory worn by messengers playing make-believe. The messengers wear the urns filled with incense that wards off beasts on their heads upside down, suggesting a predilection to the dark. The inhabitants of the stump appear to have an interest in adornment. Why not let them be happy and revel as babes? So we've also got the red messenger ribbon, which was the blood found on the cloth that the pig in the sewer had dropped for us. And then we had the head bandage, which it said was kind of a mimic of the very beasts that were suffering from the scourge that we are fighting against. So this is another of those, and we will find a few more. And then in the treasure chest, Formless Oedon. So this is a rune. It's one of the Oedon runes, which this is the first time we've really seen runes, so don't be surprised that you don't recognize that. Higher Quicksilver Bullet Max. So, a secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. This is the first time we've heard the name Carol, but we have heard Bergenworth. They were the college and the scholars that first discovered the holy medium in the labyrinth that runs under Yarnum. The Great One Oedon, which remember we're from Oedon Temple, or we've been in Oedon Temple. The Great One Oedon, lacking form, exists only in voice, and is symbolized by this rune. Those who memorize it and enjoy a larger supply of Quicksilver bullets. Human or no, the oozing blood is a medium of the highest grade, and the essence of the formless Great One Oedon. Both Oedon and his inadvertent worshippers surreptitiously seek the precious blood. So, Oedon does not have a physical form that we can see or interact with, and exists only in a voice, and it's interesting that both those qualities, but that his worshippers are referred to here as inadvertent worshippers. So they seek the precious blood, and perhaps it's some sort of perceived as a madness or a drive that people don't understand, and that is the inadvertent worship that it's referring to. So we will find out how to use runes later. I don't... There's the drop down. And now we do have to call the elevator back down. When you get to an area where you haven't been before, just take note of what the game is driving your eye towards. Which, just the fact that we went so slowly revealed their secret. But they wanted you to see this treasure chest and just rush into the area. And obviously that would have been bad for us. Unless you really rush in and he's not ready for you. So this was another wheelchair gunner, like the one who tries to surprise you in the house in Central Yharnam. And again was using loot as a lure. Wrong button. So we have communion now. We're starting to see more of these. So communion is another rune, which gives us higher blood vial max. It's a secret symbol left by Carol, again the runesmith of Bergenworth. Several runes relate to blood, including communion, which raises the maximum number of blood vials one may carry. This rune represents the healing church and its ministers. Blood ministration is, of course, the pursuit of communion. Okay, I typically run across very fast because that we'll lure him back. When we encountered these guys in Central Yharnam, we did not yet have the monocular, so I wanted to take a moment to show what somebody afflicted by this beast scourge looks like in this form. Alright, now we have a couple people up top firing at us as we cross the bridge, so just keep moving. As with anybody with guns, it's pretty easy to dodge them, and obviously it wants to lead you in there, so let's see what's around the sides. I can hear a brute. And I see one of these crawling chaos things that is trying to make us fall. I'm not ready to fall yet, though. So we'll go back around. And when I say it's trying to make us fall, I actually do believe that is what it is intent on doing. So let's get his attention. Let's go ahead and get a few people's attention and lure them back out this way. So that we don't have to fight them while we're being shot at. Alright, there's more, but we can deal with that. Not sure where the gunner is. There he is. Collect our quicksilver bullets here. See if there's anything else in here that is of note. Treasure chest. A blood-tinged gemstone. So again, that is one of those socketing gems that can go into your left-hand weapon. And let's see what's up here and see what sees us. So, there's a guy and a gunner, but the banister protects us from the bullets. You don't want to get caught in the barrage of that, because it can stun lock you. Again, that would have been much more brutal for me if I had not been so over leveled at this point. Probably would have killed me too, so. I hate when they're backing out like this because they don't quite behave right. And here's where the gunners were that were up above us, so let's deal with them as quick as we can and keep moving. Some thick cold blood. And even the placement of people kind of directs you to where to go. So, as you know, I'm going to go in the opposite direction, which I think maybe just leads into a big circle here with a ladder. Yeah. Wait, I want to look at the view. So this is all an area we haven't been yet. From over this way, it leads down here into this little center. To a large, I would say church-like structure, but you know, you could say that about almost every structure. Then again, it is the Cathedral ward, so. Alright, so we're now on at least a third level of this building. Some more thick cold blood. And there's a note on the ground. The sky and the cosmos are one. The choir. So, a group called the choir left a note saying the sky and the cosmos are one. It's not meant to literally be look at the sky, but I thought a good opportunity to do that. The main thing it does is introduce a discussion of the cosmos, but also a group called the choir. Choir, again, often affiliated with churches. He has a flamethrower you also don't want to get caught by. There's another. He wears a, let's see if we can take a look at him. Another chest. Radiant Sword Hunter Badge. So I think this will generally be a shorter episode, so we actually will return to the Hunter's Dream and see what this badge and some others that we've collected give us. So this badge is another key item. The one I'm referring to before is we picked up the Powder Keg Hunter badge, but we didn't check out the item or items that it gave us access to in the messenger bath. This Radiant Sword Hunter badge, it says, for Ludwig's successors. Ludwig, we know, is the first hunter of the Healing Church. Yeah. One of the badges crafted by the Healing Church, the Radiant Sword, indicates the heirs of the will of Ludwig. Ludwig, I think it's the second time that it's referred to a sword and Ludwig and a badge. These hunters, also known as the Holy Blades, are what remains of the ancient line of heroes that date back to the very early age of honor and chivalry. So, followers or heirs of Ludwig are known as the Holy Blades, and they are what remains of the ancient line that goes back to the very early age of honor and chivalry. I don't know if it literally means this, but to me that speaks to maybe prior to an obsession with the blood and the healing and other properties that the blood gives them. That could just be me kind of laying some other beliefs on top of that, but... And then we have the room loaded with incense burning again, and a door, which, guess what, is locked. So we will have to keep this in mind and find a key at some point. But we will descend, we will go back to the Hunter's Dream, and we will just make sure that we didn't miss anything. But there is one thing of note. There was a drop earlier where that crawling chaos creature fell when we attacked it. So let's follow it down now. Alright, so that was... It was in the other direction, but it circles around either way. It is right here. But let's look at this view again. A heavy fog hangs over everything. Again, deep in the sunset of the night of the hunt, so not near the end of the night. And this gave us twin bloodstone shards. So I don't believe there's much lore to this, but it is the first twin bloodstone shard that we picked up. So we've been using these, and we've got 2 of these now. And essentially it just lets us level our weapons up further than these bloodstone shards do. Lets us fortify them to a higher level. Alright, and now... I said we went up 3 levels before, and I meant 3 levels from where we already were, which was however high the elevator took us in the building next to it. So now we're up higher, and we've got an item down there. Let's get out the monocular. Can't quite see it that angle, but we have an item on a beam. We've got a beam going across. We'll take it across. We've got ropes hanging there. Let's go across and get a better look at the side we came in on, because there's not much over here other than more drops that we can do. But there's something of note, and let's just see if I can get any angle where it's visible with the monocular. There's not. So if you look right at the tip of my weapon, there is a platform and a door. It's right beneath the flame now. And that is straight down from that window. So I want these items, but I want to know about that door more. So wet drop won't kill us here. There is a platform, it looks like, down there at the end of these ropes. I'm really tilting my head around. It's hard to see, but let's just walk from here straight at these ropes and see if that lands us there. And it did. So there's one of the items we saw. There's another on a beam, and we hear a creature. So now the door is right below me, and I'm just going to walk off these beams right there. See if we can see what's making the noise. And I can't. Alright, so let's go through the door and find out what is inside of this tower. Hidden in this tower with only a broken out floor that led to it. Abandoned old workshop. Gehrman told us about a workshop that we could find from Oedon Chapel. But look familiar? It looks like the hunter's dream. Looks similar to the hunter's dream, let me clarify. So this is an abandoned old workshop that perhaps whoever created the hunter's dream, this is the non-dream version that was based on. So I'm coming over here because if we're quiet, I think you can kind of hear voices. I do not think we will find a source for that voice, though. Alright, so we have, in the hunter's dream, this is where we would find the doll. This would be lined with the tombstones that honor the hunters that have come before us, as is this side. And then, up here on the right, is the one grave that stands alone, which that grave is here represented in the real world. And we find an old hunter bone here. So the old hunter bone, the art of quickening speeds up rolling and quick steps. The bone of an old hunter whose name is lost. An old hunter who has been forgotten. It is said that he was an apprentice to old Gehrman and a practitioner of the art of quickening, a technique particular to the first hunters. It is most appropriate that hunters, carriers of the torch, who are sustained by the dream, would tease an old art from his remains. So, this is the bone of an old hunter who's been lost and forgotten, and all that is known is that this person was an apprentice to Gehrman and practiced an art called quickening that the first hunters did. Something I should do more when we discover items like this is show what they do, because it refers to quickening, but until you see it, until you see it, that doesn't mean anything. So, that is quickening. It is kind of adds invincibility as you're dodging and maneuvering around. And you'll see as we do so, we go invisible. And it's a temporary effect, but you see we didn't consume that item. It stayed there. So it is reusable. Pardon the stuttering. It is reusable. And the apprentice to Gehrman, who practiced this art, I believe is related to this grave, and is related to that grave in the hunter's dream, which the doll, as I pointed out in a short episode we did called Grave News, the doll visits this grave and pays respects, and it's the only grave in the hunter's dream that she directly pays respects to. We also have the messenger bath, should be here. Or it is in the hunter's dream, I mean. But here we find doll hat, doll clothes, doll gloves, and doll skirt. So like I said, the doll typically waits for us here in the Hunter's Dream. If we have no insight, she sits there, lifeless. Let's look at this gear. A discarded doll, again, the key item discarded, like I said, she seems as if she was thrown out of this building for some reason, was just discarded and sitting here when we first started. So, a discarded doll's hat, likely a spare for dress-up. A deep love for the doll can be surmised by the fine craftsmanship of this article, and the care with which it was kept. It borderlines on mania and exudes a slight warmth. So, it is lovingly and intricately crafted to the point where it's concerning. And it says the same thing for each item. So that I don't forget, let's put them on. And these are the doll's clothes. Now, in here is where the different hunter's tools typically are. The storage container, the workshop tools here, Garamond over here, an insight bath right here, small hair ornament. I don't remember where this item goes. So it is a small plain hair ornament. Although it has been lost for quite some time, one can still see signs of the care with which this tasteful ornament was once kept. Its color would stand out most brilliantly against a head of grayish hair. Again, like the doll. Doll's clothes and a very carefully taken care of hair ornament, which would suit gray hair. And then here we go. An abandoned doll. No amount of insight will bring this one to life. Abandoned in an abandoned place. 1/3 of umbilical cord. Quite an odd item. So, 1/3 of umbilical cord, a great relic also known as the cord of the eye. Pardon me. A great relic, also known as the cord of the eye. Every infant great one has the precursor to the umbilical cord. So, we've seen great ones, we have not seen, we've seen reference to great ones before. Specifically when we were looking at Madman's knowledge and the counter for insight. But every infant great one has this precursor to an umbilical cord. Every great one loses its child and then yearns for a surrogate. The third umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. Used to gain insight, and so they say, eyes on the inside, although no one remembers what that truly entails. So there is a lot to unpack there. This is a great relic. 1/3 of umbilical cord, also referred to below as the third. It's also known as the cord of the eye. And every great one infant has this. But also of note, every great one loses its child and yearns for a surrogate. So not only do they lose their child, but need a replacement for it and work and strive to have a replacement for it. So this umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which means nothing to us yet, but precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, and which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. So the pale moon, not the umbilical cord, the pale moon beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. And this grants us eyes on the inside, whatever that may mean. There was a lot discovered in this abandoned hunter's workshop. And I will light that so we can revisit it. And go back out the door we came in. The voice seems to be from like that direction. I don't remember the number I had before, but I also think we gained insight. Which, again, I've shown this a few times, but insight is a depth of inhuman knowledge. So even just seeing this place granted us a further depth of inhuman knowledge. Now remember, we did hear something down below. And there it is again. And I believe now I can see it. A beast of some sort. Alright. Well, kind of. Alright, it hasn't noticed us. It's watching this door. Luckily, I don't think anything is programmed to notice light. I really should have let it turn around and face me. So, we found another rune from that, but let's take a look. It's a new kind of beast. It's got horns, claws, teeth, and is a little more awkward than the wolf or werewolfish look that we've seen before. And I don't care for that laughing I hear through here either. Alright, so we got a beast rune. A secret symbol. I'm going to read this every time because I find it so important and interesting. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. A transcription of the roar of a labyrinth beast. So we've been in the labyrinth, and it's saying this is a labyrinth beast, or at least the symbol represents it. But we did find this rune on this particular beast. The bearer of the beast rune has accentuated temporary transformation effects. Beast is one of the early Carol runes as well as one of the first to be deemed forbidden. The discovery of blood entailed the discovery of undesirable beasts. So I think that last sentence is kind of elaborating on why it was forbidden, and I think that's understandable because the hunters were formed around fighting a beast scourge, and so to use something that grants you temporary nature of being a beast, which also seems to go along with the beast blood pellets. I honestly don't remember what's on the other side of this door. Oh, I should have recognized the laughing as someone who's shut up inside.
A night of curses. A night to remember. Wouldn't you say, friend?
Remember, they shut themselves in and light the incense to protect themselves during the night of the hunt, or night of the curses as he calls it. But the attendant at Oedon Chapel warned us that even those who are shut in are starting to go mad and beast-like. Rumpled Yarnum hat and sweaty clothes. Well worn and losing its shape, and damp with sweat. Nice lore. Hey, dog. So it knows my technique of just simply backing away. Alright. I hear the scrape of a weapon being dragged. I see one of these creatures we've seen from the labyrinth, through Meru Labyrinth, here for the first time. And we see a hunt. There is a... Wow. These are more beastly than what we've seen in Yarnum before. So it seems to be a deep area like Yarnum, but old Yarnum seemed to be at the bottom of a valley. And this seems almost secreted away. Not like any beast we've seen yet in the game. See if I... Oh, no! I was just gonna try to get out the monocular and look at him. You'll see my weapons that seem to work great on beasts don't work as well on him. Because... Well, that's unfortunate. Because he is not a beast like any other we've seen. And a fire blood gemstone, another socket gemstone that can be used to strengthen and fortify our weapons. Probably, yeah, fire attack up and HP continues to recover +1. So it will heal you with each second that passes, and it strengthens any fire. So like if you had a fire weapon or applied fire to your weapon. Just doing another pass. Yep, I've been through all of here. And there's an elevator leading up. Thick cold blood. So this puts us behind a gate that on the other side leads back to Oedon Chapel. And here we've opened the gate. And rather than going up this ladder, I will save exploring this area, although unfortunately I did have to open the gate to return. But I'll save that for another episode. In the meantime, we will return to Oedon Chapel, and we will return to the Hunter's Dream, and we'll do a few things. We'll try to talk to the doll and see if anything with these doll clothes or hair ornament brings up anything of note to her conversation. And we also will look at the different weapons or items that we have gained access to because of the hunter's badges. Look familiar?
Welcome home, good hunter. What is it you desire?
So we have a new option. Give small hair ornament. First, let's talk to her and see what she
Over
says.
time, countless the graves here stand, and it all seems so long ago.
We've heard that before, so here we go.
What? What is this? I can't remember. Not a thing, only I feel a yearning, something I never felt before. What's happening to me? Tell me, Hunter, could this be joy? Welcome home. What is it you... Over time, it...
So,
Farewell, good hunter.
the hair ornament sparks a feeling inside of her. Not exactly a memory because she can't recall the memory, but it brought her joy. As if it's something that belonged to her and had been long lost and forgotten and was returned to her, so she had the emotional attachment to it, but not the literal memory of it. So next we wanted to look at the items that came with the powder keg badge and the Radiant Sword Hunter badge. So we can buy bloodstone shards now to level up weapons. We have this item, which I will save until we're going into the Cathedral ward to purchase. It opens the main gate. We have the saw cleaver, we have the saw spear, we got the hunter axe in the episode where we went into the Thumeru chalice. I haven't bought the threaded cane yet, so I'll go ahead and get that. We have the Kirk hammer, but here is a new item. Ludwig's Holy Blade. So this Radiant Sword Hunter badge was for the followers of Ludwig, and that has given us access to this. We have the rifle spear, which is a combination gun, spear, that seems to be a cheap knockoff of something created by a group that we have not really seen access to yet, or interacted with yet. And then we have the stake driver, which the stake driver is from the powder keg badge. This was the weapon that the gunner on top of the tower in Old Yarnum was using as his right-handed weapon that he could charge, and it kind of created a blast as he punched. So we will get that too. Left-handed weapon, we have Ludwig's rifle. We already had seen pistol, blunderbuss, repeating pistol. I'm not going to bother to buy these two. I don't care for them. I will get this. We picked up a flame sprayer elsewhere. It was given to us by Gilbert. I don't have a whole lot of use for it either, and we are using the Hunter Torch currently. So here is new items as well. The Tomb Prospector set. So let's go ahead and get these. And then we have a lot to read now. And also I will show how the gear looks and how the weapons work. So let's put on the Tomb Prospector gear. Alright. Just so I don't forget, let's go ahead. Threaded Cane, Ludwig's Holy Blade. Sorry, Threaded Cane, then Ludwig's Holy Blade. And we'll use Ludwig's Rifle and Flame Sprayer. Alright, so first let's look at the items we picked up. We've read these descriptions. We've read this one. Let's read about Ludwig's Holy Blade. A trick weapon typically used by the Healing Church hunters. It is said that the silver sword was employed by Ludwig, the first hunter of the church. When transformed, it combines with the sheath to form a great sword. The Healing Church workshop began with Ludwig, and departed from old Gehrman's techniques to provide hunters with the means to hunt more terrifying beasts, and perhaps things still worse. It is said that the silver sword was employed by Ludwig, so this silver holy blade was implemented by him. It transforms to create a giant greatsword. The Healing Church began with Ludwig, which we knew, but it departed from old Gehrman's techniques to provide hunters with a means to hunt more terrifying beasts, and perhaps things still worse. So it seems as if Gehrman was leading hunters before, and Ludwig branched off for the Healing Church because he saw things bigger or worse than the beasts that the hunters were fighting. And then Stake Driver. Trick weapon fashioned by the heretics of the workshop, the powder kegs, favored by retired hunter Jura, most likely the hunter at the top of the tower in Old Yarnum. The stake driver, with its queerly complex design, violently drives thick stakes into the flesh of foes. The stake driver allows the high damage critical attacks, but is difficult to use and leaves its wielder wide open. But none of that should bother a mere powder keg, because they love the explosions. So then we have Ludwig's rifle. Employed by Ludwig, first hunter of the church. Its long, very heavy barrel makes up for a range for what it lacks in reload speed. Ludwig's rifle exhibits several departures from the workshop design, suggesting that the church anticipated much larger inhuman beasts. Like I said, he broke away fearing something greater than werewolves. And then the prospector gear. So, prospectors who explored the old labyrinth on behalf of the Healing Church. The Healing Church traces its roots to Bergenworth, as we knew, and is therefore aware of the ruin's true importance. So, Bergenworth discovered the important things down the holy medium down in the labyrinth, and this gear was worn by the Healing Church, which formed out of Bergenworth based on that material as they delved back in. They contain much more than mere hunter trinkets. Indeed, they hide the very secrets of the old Great Ones, sought after by those with the insight to imagine greatness. Kind of hinting at the lore around Great Ones. And each of these says the same thing. So now, let's look at the cane. A fast weapon that can be extended to be a whip, which can be good against beasts as well. Then we have Ludwig's Holy Blade. Ludwig's Holy Blade. Which becomes a great sword. A two-handed, massive great sword. It's a pretty great weapon. It's one of my favorites. But then we have the flame sprayer and Ludwig's rifle. Alright, so that's all the gear we picked up, and we explored as far as we could in that route to the right, though we reached a dead end where we need a key. In the next episode, we will actually go into the Cathedral ward proper. We will buy the key to the main gate, and we will try to explore as much as we can, and if it leads to a boss, we will do that in a separate episode. But please join me for those. All right, thank you.